iron in the soul. What's up, YouTube? This is Iron and Soul, back today with another very important message. Please subscribe to my channel, like this video, share this video, leave a comment, let me know what you think about my content. In addition to that, please feel free to follow me over on Instagram at TheKingJabez. It will be greatly appreciated. In today's video, I want to talk about Chrisean Rock and Blueface in a relationship that has been in the public eye for several months, maybe a year or two at this point. And it seems to be a relationship that a lot of people have an interest in, a curiosity. You go over any social media platform, whether it's on Instagram, especially over on Twitter, people are retweeting the videos and clips from their show. You know, there's constant clips and memes of the girlfriend and Blueface, and every time you turn your phone on, you're seeing these two people. So I feel like it's an opportunity for me, Iron and Soul, as someone who the last week or two, or for sure, the last 3 years, I've talked about relationships, female nature, men, women, and those type of topics. But I think this one kind of gives me an opportunity to really speak to a lot of topics concerning this, a lot of issues or various angles, I guess you can say, for this type of conversation. Would someone consider a toxic relationship? The reason for this, the reason there's still a bond, is there a bond in the first place? Is this done just for television? Do they really love each other in real life? Maybe that is the case. We don't know. I don't know. But there is a lot that we can glean from this that can be helpful in understanding what is really happening on a bigger level, as opposed to just two people. What is happening on a bigger level nationwide, what relationships with young men and young women, and what I've referred to and talked about as the gender war that is very real right now on the earth, whether you want to realize it or not. If you don't like that or agree with that, that's fine. But the reality of the matter is there's a very real spiritual war in the earth right now. I'm going to make that clear, between men and women. And I say spiritual because there's something deeper going on than just the female sex and the male sex. There's a very real spiritual aspect to this. And there is an agenda that demons and Satan have for men and women. And it's essentially to reverse the order of God. But aside from that, let's talk about a podcast I've watched, No Jumper, as you guys have watched, I'm sure, many times as well. And just really watching this whole hour interview and just really taking my own notes and assessment, getting their thoughts and ideas. There's a lot we can learn from this conversation that could be helpful for you as you go forward with your personal life. One of the topics that comes up, of course, when you discuss a relationship is the issue of traumatic bonding, something that I really didn't know much about prior to studying a relationship and kind of just seeing what's going on out here. And there's a lot of that's happening. People have this dependency upon a person that has, in many cases, proven themselves to be a narcissistic. And I've seen this happen a lot with women. I know a woman who, went through this, where this guy was clearly, just using her. And she could not move on. I mean, she would even call him a narcissist. You're narcissistic and you're toxic and I'm trying to heal and get away from you. And she would, for whatever reason, keep going back to this guy. Right? So you got these women out here who love these toxic guys that no matter what they do, they run back to that. I told you guys a story about a woman who I counseled maybe 7 years ago. We had a long 1-2 hour session. I've counseled men and women. I've been in the trenches for a while, guys. This is an Iron and Soul. It's not just a gimmick. I work with a lot of people, men, women. I've heard a lot of stuff. And this was a woman in her 50s who at this point was into Christianity for about 5 to 10 years. And so she was referring back to her youth when she was a younger woman in her 20s and 30s. And as a younger woman, she just said to me, Brother Percy, I love toxic guys. You know what I mean? And she told me flat out, if a guy didn't beat me, she thought he was a punk. There are women out there, as crazy as that sounds, guys, there are women out there that if a man doesn't beat them and abuse them, they think he's weak. There are women who love the type of abuse from a man. And if a guy is a nice guy and loves them, they'll run over that. They will exploit that. So if you ever find yourself dealing with a woman like that, run for your life. If you're with a woman who loves toxicity and you're not toxic, get away from that. Don't have a toxic woman around you. Don't allow your lust, rather, I'll put it what it is, because honestly, you don't like her abuse. You don't like what she says to you. You don't like her energy. You like the sex. Okay, that's why you're with her. Let's just keep it all the way 1,000. You're not talking to no dummy. You are with her because you enjoy the pleasure she brings. And so you basically tolerate all of her BS because of the pleasure she brings you. And she knows that. That's why she continues to disrespect you, undermine, and play the games with you. So this woman enjoyed that, and she could not appreciate what people would consider a good man. That's one side of it. And then you have, on the flip side of that, there are men who like Jezebels, right? Some of you guys, you like the bad girls, you like the strippers, you like the, the girls who are doing what they do. I'll put it that way. I'm not going to do any name calling. We ain't got to do all that, because sometimes name calling, it can be used to deflect from the truth and the reality of this conversation. So the women who have a low moral standard, I'll leave it right there. And you can use your imagination to fill it in, whatever you want to fill it in with. But women who have a low moral standard, some of you guys, you like that energy. And the quote unquote good girl is boring to you. You don't know how to approach her. You don't want to approach her. You don't want to cultivate a relationship that's going to take you 1, 2, possibly 3 years to form something solid before you're allowed to have sex with her. You don't want that. Okay, you want that girl, you can get on something with her this week. You understand? Today, tomorrow. That's the energy you want. And you like that, again, that pleasure and that sexual fulfillment. What you don't like by anybody is the disrespect, the game plan, the sabotage, the mental illness that this can bring into your life, because there's a soul tie going on. You can't deny that. There's definitely a soul tie here with Blueface and his girlfriend. And we talked about soul ties in detail in the past. And guys, I'm not going to cover every topic in this video. I'm not going to make this video 2-3 hours long. You dig? But this is definitely an example of a soul tie. They have a bond here. So when you have that traumatic bonding, when there's clearly narcissistic behavior, right? Fights, name calling, you understand? Infidelity, cheating, probably on both sides in this situation. That's probably just common sense. I'm pretty sure I'm not no dummy. I'm an OG. You understand? Blueface has been with a lot of women. You dig? And his girl has been with a lot of men while they've been together. You understand me? And so there's a lot of that going on where they both are being unfaithful, and they keep basically stepping on each other. And when you step on each other, that leads to the fights and disrespect. Let's also speak on the fact that, toxicity, being toxic, is being normalized in this current culture. I mean, just a casual view of social media will reveal it to you. People say I'm good looking, but I'm toxic. And they think it's funny, it's a game, it's cute to be, disrespectful, off-putting, undermining people, being a liar, being in a relationship while sleeping with your man's best friend, just doing all this foul, bogus stuff. And what's happening with that, people are responding to that in kind, as they should. And this is why we see so much domestic violence. You're seeing women attacking men. You're seeing men attack women. All of that sexual energy and that infidelity and cheating and lies and toxicity is fueling this rage with an opposite sex. And with Blueface and his girlfriend as public, because they're public figures, we see it on a bigger scale. In our everyday, modern, hidden world, it's happening in homes all the time, whether you know it or not. So though people are not as famous, obviously, as Blueface and his girlfriend, this happens a lot in communities when you have this toxicity between the man and the woman, and they're constantly going after each other at their throats. So we're seeing this culture being formed where being toxic is cool, and that's not cool. I mean, and you even get small glimpses of this even in an interview where there are times when she's not allowing Blueface to speak and not respecting his space as a man to articulate his thoughts and to express himself. She's cutting him off and talking over him. And then there are times when the girl, the woman, obviously needs to be protected by her man in terms of her feelings and emotions, and Blueface is not doing that. He's basically leaving her in a vulnerable position where she feels like she's being attacked and vulnerable. So they're both basically stepping on each other in this short 1 hour interview. You know what I mean? And not the interview an hour is short, but just in terms of the overall relationship. Within this 1 hour, you can see some of the problems just manifesting before the whole world. Her refusal to respect Blueface as a man, and Blueface's refusal to protect her and love her as a woman. I mean, very basic relationship, 101. Nothing deep. That's not even a doctor level psychology. Just basic women. Women want protection and love. Men want respect. And you see within this short hour, they're not doing that. And that creates problems. And as you continue to watch this video, Chrisean is disrespectful to both the men, Blueface as well as the interviewer, sharp, a cool guy, OG. She's basically cutting both of them off, over talking them. And the interviewer has to basically say, man, you're being very disrespectful. And man, Blueface couldn't be me. I wouldn't tolerate this, And it's just really seeing what has happened to the nature of a relationship between the man and the woman. And you don't have to even watch the whole hour interview just to see this. You see within the first 20, 30 minutes just how that has broken down in society. Just the basic like standards of you don't talk to a man a certain way as a woman, and as a man you don't treat a woman a certain way. It's like everything is just backwards and weird right now. I mean, a woman who is your woman shouldn't be calling you a female dog. I'm not gonna use the word, this. I'm not gonna curse. This is your brother. You did, big bro. But you know what female dog means, right? I'm gonna be honest. I'm an OG. Even as a believer, even as a Christian, I'm still a man. That's just a word I don't use. I mean? Those were. I'm gonna be honest with you, bro. Back in the days when I was in a joint, those were fighting words. If you called a man that, you had to be prepared to fight. That's how serious that was. And that's even how serious it is even to me in my mind today. So when you go there, that's like the most disrespectful thing you could call a man. And this is your woman saying this to you. This is toxicity. So if you have a woman, guys, who has that much disrespect for you, going about your business. And so I got a question I got to ask you guys, because some of you may be in a relationship when you know this woman doesn't respect you. I got to ask you this as a man. Why? Why are you allowing yourself to be disrespected like that? Why are you tolerating this spirit of dishonor? As a man without respect, we don't have much. There's a level of honor that every man deserves that carries himself that way. Now, if you're just being a dishonorable, lazy, disrespectful, man who's not about nothing, then that's one thing. But when you're not doing that, and people are just trying to step on you, disrespect you, that's something else. They're crossing the line now on purpose to see if you will stand your ground as a man. And that's something that every man has to figure out how he likes to or decides to navigate through that. So Sharp, he asked a question within this interview I thought was a very good question. And, in regards to Chrisean putting her hands on Blueface, at what point does this get to a place where you hurt him and we no longer see him? Kind of indirectly asking that question that I think has went through a lot of our minds. And it's even something my wife said to me recently that, okay, she might seriously hurt this man one day. It's kind of like everybody in the world sees the right on the wall with this relationship. And Blueface's response was telling. Blueface's response was, this is the life we chose. Pause. What you talking about, my boy? What do you mean this is the life we chose? What are you trying to tell us? What type of contract are y'all under? What type of mind control are you under? You look at both of them, and this is not a judgment. Again, I got to be careful. This ain't your big brother being judgmental. This is me using common sense and observation. They both look drugged up and under mind control. I mean, it's like really, for me, it's hard to watch. It's hard to watch. Just the way she looks, and she's drinking and crying every 5 minutes. And Blueface looks like he's going to pass out any second within the interview. Tired, slurring with his words. It's just really difficult to watch them just crashing out before the entire world. And there's a deeper meaning for this. There's something I've been studying and researching even today, because this is something that's been on my mind. I want to really give some teeth to this. I want to kind of kick this science real quick, kind of switch gears a little bit. This brother, I'm going to take you to the book. You knew that was coming, man. Come on, man. This Iron and Soul. I'm taking you to the book. You already knew that was coming. The spirit of perversion. Let's talk about the spirit of perversion in ancient Israel. There's a story in the Bible in Judges chapter 20, verse 26 to 35 to be exact, where the men of the tribe of Benjamin brutally attacked a woman sexually to a place where the woman eventually was unalive, right? And it was so graphic that they made a decision to spread this message in a way that I won't share on YouTube, but you can go read the passage yourself. You can go look up Judges 19 and read what they did. Very gruesome. The message was made clear on how bad this was. So you would think the natural response to that is that the tribe of Benjamin would have repented before the other tribes of Israel, the 12 tribes, of course. Well, as opposed to repent, they decided to get their swords and go to war with the other tribes. So they were rather in a position to justify their immorality and their impurity and their spirit of perversion in a violent way. And if you notice this happens even today with people who live a pretty lifestyle. they will get violent when you say something about it. They will get downright dirty with you. They will try to kill you. People love their forbidden fruit. People love their forbidden fruit. So they want to be with 4-5 women, 4-5 men, whatever. Don't you tell me what I can do. I'm grown. Right? And they will attack you physically. They will curse you out there, threaten you. They will try to kill you. You hear me? If you begin to speak against their life and immorality, how dare you? Who are you to judge? That's what people will say. And so this is exactly what happened in ancient Israel. Ain't nothing changed. The Bible says what? There's nothing new under the sun. So just as people responded with violence in ancient Israel, what do you see happening often with Blueface and his girlfriend, Chrisean Rock? They are often involved in violence. In fact, the girl was just involved in violence just a few days ago on the red carpet. She's on a red carpet, punched the girl in the face while pregnant. I mean, this stuff just don't stop. You can't make this up. As Kevin Simmons would say, man, you can't make this stuff up. You can't make this up. So this spirit of perversion that's following them, this soul tie, these are all topics we talked about, by the way, in Iron Soul. This is nothing new with Iron. We talked about all this, guys, right? Soul ties, sexual sin, the future being woman. We talked about all this stuff in detail. And here we are now at the beginning of the year, 2023. It's already manifesting in a very bad way. So her and Blueface are always involved in violence. Her attacking the mama, Blueface attacking the daddy, them attacking each other, fighting other men, fighting other women. They just off the chain. And this points back to the days of Noah. What happened? Let me ask you guys this, Iron and Soul community. What happened before God sent the flood? You know that already. There was an increase in sexual sin and violence. Two things, right? What do you see all the time now on social media? Sex and violence. What sells in movies? Sex and violence. What do people want to see? Sex and violence. They want to see somebody get beat up. UFC, boxing. I'm not saying that's wrong necessarily. Okay, I'm just saying what it is. People want to see somebody get their butt whooped. They want to see somebody get knocked out, somebody get beat up, shot at. Look at the rap music. It's constantly talking about, gang, gang. Gang, gang is part of the train. Bang, bang, bang. Bang, bang. Right? People love to hear about violence and sexual experiences. It sells. That's a big part of the current culture, as well as it was a part of the culture in Bible days. It's nothing new. And so when back to the Bible story, when they confronted Benjamin, as opposed to repent, they went to war, and in 2 days, the tribe of Benjamin ended up killing over 40,000 Hebrews. 40,000 people died because they confronted their sexual deviance. And people are so sexually deviant now that they got to have something graphic and wild to get off. That's why women want to be slapped. They want to be choked. I know you don't like me saying that. I said what I said. I don't care if you like that or not. I'm going to give it to you in a row. Right? They want that violence. That's why some women like crazy men. They like a man to rough them up. That's messed up. That's why they don't like good guys. That turns them off. Why? You soft, you weak. What's wrong with you? Where does that come from? It comes from the spirit of perversion. The spirit of perversion loves deviance and violence. You understand? So, and a part of this is based on that corn that's all over the internet, that fantasy, that lust. Some people have been involved in incest. I'm going to go and put it out there today. We talk about the spirit of perversion, adultery, sleeping with somebody's husband, sleeping with somebody's wife, you dig, fornication. All of that harlotry is just polluting the world. The world right now is just polluted. It's like this toxic, space that we call life under the sun right now. The world right now is polluted. You hear me? Not just in America, all over this earth. It is polluted because of sexual deviance. And this is why the word of God says, do not prostitute your daughter, because in doing that, you pollute the whole land, right? So the land, the environment, the cities, the homes, the nation is polluted because of all of this impurity. It's creating all these soul ties. A lot of families are breaking up right now. A lot of happy homes are broken up because of this. Because you got your men, paying to see the girl next door. You one of our OnlyFans. You dig? Pause. You got your wife and you on her OnlyFans account, spending your dust on that, your money. And this is polluting the land. It's breaking up families. It's breaking up homes. It's an all-out war right now between men and women, and families are experiencing a lot of problems because of that. So, about maybe 35, 40 minutes to the interview, eventually Chrisean has to be escorted off of the show. Pretty bad. It kind of can give you a glimpse into what happens in their private life. I can kind of see this unfold where they're sitting home having a conversation. She spasses out, starts putting her hands on Blueface. He has to get her off of her, try to defend himself. And as soon as he does that, he's going to be painted as the bad guy as the man. And so it's just really a very toxic situation on both sides. And Blueface is no angel. He probably got 5, 10 women on the side in addition to her. And she knows about this. So it's just all around bad. But I think this also points to the issue of alcoholism and the spirit of Belial that's behind that. So you see all these spirits that they are wrestling with. They're wrestling with that spirit of perversion. Not even wrestling at this point in submission to. They're being controlled by the spirit of perversion, right? It's not a judgment, it's observation. They're being controlled by the spirit of perversion. They're being controlled by the spirit of Belial through alcoholism and drinking, right? You have a soul tie going on here. You got all type of activity. You have lust and perversion, soul tie, violence, all of this that we see doing what? Manifesting in the culture. Manifesting in the culture through what you see on social media, through movies, through entertainment. This is unfortunately what people want to see. And not everybody. There are a lot of people who don't want to see this type of stuff, but there are a lot of people who do, which is why it's such popular television. And what it's doing is beginning to condition the mind. That's what movies do. That's what TV shows do. That's what music does. That's what books do. Books, television, shows, music, it all programs the mind to think a certain way, to act a certain way. It becomes your mental diet. Just like you have a physical diet, when you have your water intake, you have your fruits and vegetables, your protein, you have your supplements, your vitamins, whatever you may take. That's a part of your physical diet. Where you also have a mental diet. And your mental diet consists of what you read, what type of music you listen to, what type of things you watch on TV, what do you watch on your phone, who do you follow on social media? You know what I mean? All of this is a part of your mental diet. Who do you talk to? Who do you engage in conversation and dialogue? Who are your friends? And so all that is geared towards shaping and developing the mind. But let me touch on the alcohol piece for a while, too, as I got to talk about this. As we talk about this whole relationship, let's also address this issue of alcoholism. Alcohol is ruining a lot of lives, and people are not really talking about this, how there's spirit of Belial behind it. You think about 1 Samuel, for example, in verse 16, it talks about Eli and his wife Hannah. The prophet Eli thought that Hannah was drunk. That wasn't his wife. The prophet Eli thought that Hannah was drunk. And Hannah responded by saying, do not count me or don't consider me a daughter of who? Belial. So what she's saying about me being a person that's a drunkard, that would make me a daughter of Belial as opposed to a daughter of God. So we see that the spirit of Belial is latching on to Chrisean through alcohol. What does Sharp say in the interview? She going off the Hennessy, the hen dog, right? This is a separate subject. I saw a story of a young woman from Memphis. You all probably heard about the story. She was in her car on live just talking reckless. She was drinking some Hennessy. She called it the hen dog. She said, I'm in here off that hen dog. She had the glasses on. She's feeling good, talking crazy about being with this girl, man, about what he did to her. And he ain't up but a trick, blah, blah, blah. She got people all in the comment section. A lot of y'all gassing it up with the laughing out loud emojis and thinking that stuff funny. Because, a lot of us, we like mess. We think drama is funny till somebody get hurt. And that's exactly what happened that night. So then her gassing this young lady up, gassing her up, got her laughing, cracking jokes, talk crazy about this woman, man. Next thing you know, the female she's talking about, she comes to the car where she's doing a live at and shoots her eventually. Takes her life. She lost her life that night over a live video drinking alcohol. Do you hear me? So a lot of people do bad things when they're drunk. People commit sexual sins when they're drunk. People get violent. People might get a gun, shoot somebody. It's a demon. And the problem with alcohol is that it's legal. It's a legal drug. So you can legally go to a convenience store or a gas station in the neighborhood, or go to a liquor store in the ghetto. They're everywhere. You know what I mean? Why? It's there for a reason, for you to poison and to kill yourself, and to open you up as a man or as a woman to the spirit of Belial or the devil or Satan. So as you can see, guys, from listening to this video, there are so many layers to this relationship that really give revelation as to what's happening in society. It's not really rocket science where you open your phone up and you see all this bad stuff happening. What's happening, guys? Let me recap this. You have men and women who are under the influence of Belial through alcohol. You have men and women who are caught up in these sexual soul ties. You have men and women who are just being controlled by the spirit of perversion. And that spirit of perversion leads to anger, leads to rage. This is why every time you pick your phone up, somebody else got shot. Someone else got stabbed. It's always bad news. Why? Because this is the end result, right? The land is polluted because daughters are being prostituted. You can't go against the word of God, expect things to happen, work out well for you. It's not how it works. We're doing all this stuff. We have let all of these demons into this world, and they are manifesting day by day. So people enjoy that forbidden fruit, that secret sin. But what people don't like is the results of that: violence, confusion, soul ties, addiction, death, destruction, and the destruction of the family priesthood. So as I attempt to wrap up this conversation, because we can talk about this on and on, it goes back to a question I asked a few days ago, maybe about a week at this point. Is there a war, gender war, between men and women? Are men being conditioned to see women in a negative light, and are women being conditioned to see men in a negative light? And I'll have to say, from my observation, yes, there is a lot of content online, a lot of examples that would make a woman look at almost every man sideways. And at the flip side of the coin, there's a lot of content online and examples that would make, every man look at a woman sideways. And so there is an obvious agenda to weaken the connection or bond, or a healthy bond, between a man and a woman, as opposed to trauma bonding. There is a agenda to remove this whole idea of having a healthy relationship. And it's so much so that even when I bring it up, some of you guys, y'all manifest right away. That don't exist no more. Good for you. You ain't trying to hear it. You are convinced in your mind, excuse me, that the idea of having a healthy relationship with a woman, you have just basically given up on that. And if that's where you're at, fine, you can stay in that lane. That's your choice. You have a free will to do whatever you want to do. But what you don't have the right to do is to indoctrinate others with this same philosophy. If that's your mindset, if that's where you stand in terms of your personal life, cool. But my question to you is, if that's your stance, are you going to be celibate for the rest of your life? And if you're 25 talking like that, you going to be celibate for 25 to 70? Probably not. So what you finna do? You finna fornicate. You finna tap right into the spirit of perversion with all that self-righteousness you got going on about how you hate women, this, that, and the third. You still finna hop in bed with one of them within the next 10, 15 years. Otherwise, you're gonna be celibate for 15, 20 years, and I really don't believe that for most of you, to be honest. Very few guys will actually do that, period. So either you finna get to a relationship and it'll be a toxic one, or you will keep that, I just hate women stuff, and you will end up just fornicating and using them for sex, which really just messes you up too, to be honest. You know what I mean? And then you have women who just use men just for money, and for whenever they have sexual needs as well. Use a man, have their sexual gratification once or twice a month, whatever that may be, get some bread from them, and that's all they want. You dig what I'm saying? They don't want to have a relationship. They don't want to have a bond, because they really want to have their freedom to just do what they want to do. This is their time to have their hot girl summer. This is their time to really turn up I'm in my 20s, you dig? I'm looking good. Everything is shaped right. Got my hair done, got my nails done. You understand what I'm saying? I know what these women thinking. I ain't no goofy. This is my time. You know what I mean? What I settle down for what? I got like 10 guys in my inbox. I got all these DMs. I got all these likes. So this is their time to just kind of just turn up, do what they want to do. And that's cool till they're about 35 and they got a couple of kids and they're by themselves. Then these are the women you see on the Kevin Samuels show when he was alive, rest in peace, talking about how much they hate men. As if they wouldn't just clown for 20 years, 15 years. You've been clowning from 20 to about 34, lady. And now you're 35, now you want a husband. Now you want that square guy you didn't want 10 years ago. The guy you thought was a goofy or lame, now he's 35, 40 years old. He looking good because he ain't been drinking. He ain't been out here smoking and partying. He ain't got 4 or 5 baby mamas. He clean, he in shape, he been eating good, he been in the gym. So now he 35, 40, healthy, got money, bank, got a solid job, and now you want that, and he don't want you. and now you got attitude. This is what's happening in the community, man. This is not rocket science. This is what's happening every day. You know what I mean? Everybody want to live their best life from 20 to about 34. And when that parade is over, now you want companionship. But the problem with that is, and it's not saying you don't deserve that, by the way, you can still have that. But the problem is you have now a lot of skeletons in your closet because of that. You got 14, 15 years now under your belt of soul ties, of sexual sin. Sometimes you got some addictions along the way. You might be into drunkenness. You may be into some witchcraft and sorcery. You got all types of stuff going on in your life right now. And so now it's going to be difficult for you to find a man who now wants to settle down with you and get married to you after you have basically just been sent through the ringer. And vice versa for the men who've been doing the same stuff. You know what I mean? And so you can choose the sin, but you can't choose consequences. You can do whatever you want to do. That's kind of less than this whole story. You can do what you want to do. You can party. You can turn up just like Blueface and Chrisean. You can turn up, party, drink, kick it, turn your music on, have you 4 or 5 different partners. You did what I'm saying. You do all that stuff. But when that stuff is over, and now you are about to hit middle age, and you want to settle down, and now, because of living that way, now you got some health problems possibly. You might have doggone diabetes. You dig what I'm saying? Breathing all hard, out of shape, not really healthy. You dig? And you got all these problems, and now you 35, 40, you want you a man that's 25. You're delusional. You are very delusional. You are living in a fantasy world. That's not how that works. You know what I'm saying? So this is just some food for thought. I trust this message will be of value to you. Please leave a comment to this. Share this video. There are a lot of people who need to hear this. Let me know what you think. Also, if you have some video ideas or some podcasts that you are watching that you want me to watch, you guys have been sending these to me too, by the way. I got another one I got to watch that somebody sent me yesterday, which I plan to speak on that too. A lot of good stuff going on. So I appreciate that, guys. So keep on hitting my DM over on IG with the podcast links. I appreciate that. Somebody sent me one a few days ago. I still listen to that one as well. So you guys keeping me busy. So I appreciate that. Hit that DM over there on Instagram at The King Jabez. It'd be greatly appreciated. Guys, ladies, thanks for listening. Hope this is of value to you. This is your brother, Iron the Soul. God bless. Peace.